whoever's out there.
Hey, here we are, the Heathen DriveBYE, and tonight I got Purple Rhymes with Orange, and I've seen you in the comments for quite a while. I really never talked to you yet. Tell me all about you. What made you start to want to become a YouTube content creator, which you've just joined the ranks of?
Actually, it's about a year ago. Yeah, Actually, it was because I was recovering from surgery. I could barely get out of my chair for about 6 weeks.
Oh,
and so I was just looking for things to watch, and I was actually looking up 80s animation, which brought up Bionic Dance. And since she was talking about a lot of LGBT things, I started kind of binging her old library. And then, the way YouTube works, if you're watching one atheist, it starts bringing up suggestions for other ones. So
the algorithm gets you.
Yeah. So it started bringing up suggestions for like Paula Gia and Professor Stick and Vice Drino, and just it snowballs from there. You start watching a couple of them and it keeps bringing up more people.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's the way the algorithm works. I mean,
yeah,
they're all kind of in the same category, but yeah. So, and what made you come up with your avatar name, Purple Rhymes with Orange?
Actually, it's something my companion would say a lot. That since nothing rhymed with purple and nothing rhymed with orange, that they should rhyme with each other.
All right. Okay, I get it. And what was your last video? What made you all of a sudden decide to start doing the content creation, though? How'd you get to that point?
Oh, actually, it's something I'd been wanting to do for quite some time. I mean, I had to buy some new equipment. The computer I had last year, it was a monster cobbled together out of old parts. I couldn't even keep up watching people's live streams because it kept stalling out on me, kept locking up.
Oh, I hate that.
So I scraped together what money I could for some barely passable equipment. I mean, really, for making videos, I still need something better than what I've got. But if I keep this simple format, I can get something out. But, it just mostly from the comment sections and responses I was getting when I commented on people. It seemed some people were interested in some of my ideas. So,
no, great video. If you got to go and check out his first upload that he did. If you, I'll leave a link in the description. I didn't do that. I'll have to do that after we're done with after we're done here. No, but I forgot what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you something else, but I can't remember right off my head. Which one of the YouTubers is your favorite then? Better say Johnny DriveBYE.
Well, I have like some of the things you put up. The one that really sticks out in my mind from you is when you did the pancake catapults and you were dancing around spinning the staff. I don't know why that one sticks out in my mind so much, but I'll always remember that. And
it's that song. I believe that was Cy. What's his name? He's another YouTuber. I can't remember. I met him through, or I got to his channel through Deconverted Man or whatever. So,
and I watched the stuff you were doing on your house too, because that's my field too.
okay.
I do home renovations and repairs, just general handyman work.
Yeah, and it's kind of what I do too. I'm trying to slack off more. I'm getting too old to freaking climb up in rafters and stuff. So,
yeah, I know what you mean. I'm wondering how many more years I can keep doing it, but I used to tell my fiance that I couldn't afford to put on any weight because if I got to be more than 14.5 inches deep, I couldn't slide through the stud walls and I'd be out of work.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
But
you could get by, but your progress would slow down a little bit, I think.
Well, it's all my life I've been, a fairly lanky build. I've gotten heavier now, but there's an awful lot of jobs I got over the years that I know I got just because I was the only one who had even a vague idea what he was doing that could fit into the crawl space.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm a smaller guy, so it helped me out too for stuff like that. But mostly, I'm pretty much a monkey. I loved building steel sheds when I was when I was younger. Anyway,
Yeah.
those are they're fun.
Well, right now I'm actually nursing a shoulder injury because despite the fact that we already have snow, have a roofing job that did not get wrapped up in time.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got a stress injury in my shoulder.
So how far south are you then?
Oh, I'm way up north. I'm in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Oh, okay. So you know the Minnesota weather then too.
Actually, I'm trying to get back to Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
Really of all. I lived more than 20 years in Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
And it's the only place I ever really called home, rather than just being someplace I was kind of waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, I like Minnesota. I don't like the cold, but my fingers can't take a cold. I at 40 degrees, I'm like, ouch, it hurts.
Yeah, well, I'm having that problem now that I can't. In this cold, I can't work outside more than 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, it takes a toll on your body, man.
But for the most part, I'm acclimated to the cold. I've never lived any further south than Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, I've lived out in LA, so I got a little bit spoiled there. But so what's your plans for your next video? What do you got in mind?
Actually, I think I've found a kind of unique twist on Pascal's Wager.
Okay.
So I know that one's been done to death, but I think I found an angle on it that people haven't looked at before.
Well, I'm looking forward to that then. Which one of the YouTubers that you mentioned earlier, like because I was just kidding about me, but which one do you think is which one's your favorite? Who do you like, or who is the most responsible for making you get interested in the YouTube thing?
Well, I hate to say a favorite of anything.
Okay.
I don't like ranking things, but like I said, the weird thing is, I've got a loyalty to Bionic Dance because she was the first one, and the odd thing was that I didn't even know there was atheist YouTubers, let alone a community. That I stumbled across her because I was looking for videos of the original Transformers series.
Wow, yeah. I think the first one that I actually came across was Desert File, because a friend of mine was trying to claim that perpetual motion machines were a thing, and then from there, that's how I kind of got connected and found more and more of them. And Godless Crane was one of them, and then Apologia, and yeah, so here I am.
Well, and I like different ones for different styles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of talent out there, and a lot of well put together, well thought out responses to other people. That's what I liked about.
Yeah, like Professor Stick, really does some good science.
Yep.
Vice Rhino does more social issues, but you can see he really puts a lot of research into it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Most YouTubers, if they have like just one adversary, they burn out after a couple of months. But Apologia has the advantage of he's up against people who are literally building larger than life stupidity.
Yeah.
So
Babe is in the chat.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Pasta Babe is in the chat. James.
Oh. I've seen her in some of the other chats. I'm really not familiar with her.
Check out her channel. She's got a lot of stuff on it. What a singer! Wow, can she sing?
Yeah, I caught one of her videos that she was singing.
Oh, just powerful voice.
Yeah. Actually, I have a little piece I might release. Was one I did for a Yule Carol.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Mostly I'm thinking of releasing it because then I can threaten people if they don't start subscribing on Patreon, I'll do a musical.
Oh, funny.
I mean, I think my speaking voice is barely tolerable. Singing's out of the question.
I have to say, I like your voice because it's like the good storytelling voice. I think you got that.
Well, that's the one thing I felt that You know, I'm not a philosopher, I'm not a scientist, but I'm a pretty good storyteller.
And there you have it. That's what you got to be. You got to be what you got to do.
You know, and
No, I think that's what I love about your videos. Oh man, you can just sit down there and pretty much kick back and listen to it.
yeah, well, and that's one of the things is I don't want people to, you know, be quoting me or taking me too seriously without checking some things for themselves. You know, because it's like, yeah, I've got some eclectic interests, and I've done a lot of research over the years, but a lot of the stuff I did was before the internet was around, back when I had to go to the library and actually use books in the card catalog.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't cite sources for something I learned 20 years ago. I don't remember the title and the author anymore.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I can't even remember last week, so.
Yeah. So, you know, mostly it's just, I'm going out there and I'm telling people, you know, this is my opinion, but don't take my word for it. Think for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the way you have to be. I mean, and the person that I think was one of the better YouTubers on that point is Potholer54. He's probably one of the most thorough debunkers that there is out there.
Yeah, I've watched some of his stuff.
Yeah, he's pretty spot on all his stuff. He's the one that made me want to be a debunker.
Yeah, I've also watched some of Thunderfoot's stuff as far as, you know, I love when he goes after these people who've been doing these Kickstarters for these miracle products. You know, and it's like, yeah, and anyone with a 3rd or 4th grade education should realize why these products won't work, and yet these people get pledged millions of dollars.
Just because they have their celebrity name, you know, that's a huge thing there. So, do you have a deconversion story? Did you have were you always in the skeptical side of things, or
well,
that, hey, this is wrong?
Well, by nature, I've always been skeptical.
Okay.
Actually, we were a Catholic family growing up in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood.
Interesting.
So, I do distinctly remember an episode when I was like 8 or 9 years old that the senior priest pulled my mother aside and asked her to stop sending me to the children's Bible study because I was asking too many questions and I was making the nuns uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can see that.
So it's like I was kind of still with the church until I was about 12, but I didn't go a lot. My brother had joined a Methodist church. I'm the youngest of a large family. So I started attending the Methodist church with my brother for a couple of years.
Okay.
And right now he ranks on the religious scale somewhere between fanatic and zealot.
Well, that's there.
So when I was 14 for Christmas, he gave me a Bible. And I decided, okay, you know, I want to understand what this is all about. And I decided I was going to read it cover to cover, you know, a couple of chapters each night before bed. Yeah, I didn't even get halfway through it before I was like, they're really expecting me to take this stuff seriously. And that put me off being Christian for the rest of my life. But I still kind of had a sense of, you know, I guess I wanted to believe in something.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, for quite a few years, I was just kind of vaguely, I guess, some kind of a deist. You know, and in my early 20s, I discovered there was a pagan community. So I started getting involved with that. And, you know, that was like, paganism is a big umbrella term. It's kind of a smorgasbord of religions.
Is that just loincloths and bonfires?
You know, so it's like I was talking to a lot of different people who had a lot of different beliefs. I mean, some of them were pretty much the same thing, just with different names for the gods. Some of them were something totally different. So I actually was in that group, about 25 years. I spent looking into different types of pagan beliefs, just kind of hoping I'd find something that felt right. And
yeah,
in the end, it's like, yeah, they're all kind of wishful thinking, and no one's got any evidence of anything.
yeah. I guess I heard an echo there.
So
anyway, I'll go ahead.
Oh, the final stroke that put me off was when my fiance died. And of course it was everybody, saying she's in a better place, and you'll see her again in heaven and all this stuff. And it's like, I didn't quite know why. At the time I still kind of believed that maybe there was some afterlife for that. But somehow with people saying this to me every day, it was getting really annoying. And just without her income, I couldn't afford the house I was in, so I had to take in a roommate a couple months later who turned out to be an atheist. So, of course, I asked him, what do you think happens when people die? And he said, nothing, that's just the end. And it's like, through all this, that was the first, it just sounded more sincere and honest than what anyone else was throwing at me.
I totally get that.
So I think it's kind of like I'd already come to that conclusion, and he was just the first one willing to say it out loud.
Yeah. I was taught that belief as a young kid already, so.
Yeah. I still have some remnants of paganism. I can't say I really believe in anything, but
anything supernatural.
But yeah, well, being skeptical, it's like I'm kind of leaving it open that there's a possibility that some supernatural things might exist.
I always got to do that.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't seen anything more than anecdotal evidence, but there might be something that we can't detect yet.
Yeah, part of me, I'm kind of active because I just see the I don't know. I can't stand it when somebody tries to force their crap on you, and I see a lot of that out there. So
yeah, well, and that's really why I've wanted to get involved in the atheist community, is because there's more and more a push of people using their religion in an attempt to pass laws and public policy.
Yeah, and
and it's like you can't do that if this is going to cover people who don't believe what you believe.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's just it. I mean, that's what the forefathers kind of founded the country on. It's
yeah.
They knew that there was so many different religions out there at the time. Do you think they were that naive to that? I mean,
well, and that goes into all the arguments that this was founded as a Christian nation, and it's like,
no,
no. If you read some of the founding fathers, especially Thomas Jefferson, yeah, he definitely had the attitude of, yes, I am Christian, but it doesn't mean I need to make everyone else be Christian.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. They seen the way Europe was going. Europe used religion to crush the people, basically. To keep the peasants in peasantry.
Well, historically, that's been the main point of religion, is it's a good way to control crowds.
Good way to withhold power or hang on to power.
Yeah.
That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, it's a good way to control an uneducated mass.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there. There, we figured it out. Problem solved. Let's go home.
Yeah.
I wish it was that.
Oh, I had mentioned Paul G. I should credit that he's actually the one who drew my avatar.
Oh, really? That's where I recognize the art from, because it's like, okay.
Yeah, it was a premium he had on his Patreon. So
cool. Wow, cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, I think he still has that on his Patreon account. That it's like at the minimum of that, like the $5 level, that he'll draw you into a cartoon and stick you into the closing credits of some of his things.
That's right. It is. That's right,
Yeah.
right out of his closing credits, isn't it? The picture you got there.
Yeah. So if you go through there, you'll actually see mine pop up in the closing credits of some of his AAG videos. So, unfortunately, I've had to cut back on the Patreons I was sending to everyone because too much of my work is seasonal. Basically, in the winter, my income's cut in half.
I'm the same the same way. Yeah, I'm the worst carpenter. So,
well,
yeah.
and I'm stuck in this little backwater town here that everyone is broke. There are no jobs for anyone. So while the town is literally falling apart, virtually every house is in obvious need of repairs. Nobody can afford to hire me anyway.
Yeah, and boy, that's the state of being the whole country, I think, right now.
Yeah, well, that's again, I'm just trying to get out of here and get back to Minnesota.
Yeah,
but of course, in Minnesota, the rent is a lot higher, so finding a place there I can afford to live.
Yeah.
Especially since I've got to find a place I can afford to live long enough to build up a customer base so that I've got income so I can afford to pay the rent. It's kind of a vicious circle.
It sucks. Yeah, no, I know the whole game. Yeah, I don't know. We're talking shop now. Let's quit that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It's no big deal. But what mostly have you done in construction then?
Little bit of everything. Basically, the only thing I don't do is the heating and air conditioning, and that's basically been largely because that requires some extra tools I don't have. I never got into doing the sheet metal working.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if I've got access to the equipment, I can do it. I can use a brake to manufacture the parts I need, but
then to get equipment like that too, then you need to build a bigger shed so you can put that equipment in it and all that crap.
Yeah. Well, and that's been a big part of it is I often haven't, most of the time I haven't had a room for a shop. I haven't even had a garage. So it's basically, you know, having my tools and pulling out what I need for the job site, but I have to do everything on site. I don't have a place to work.
Yeah.
So cordless power tools have been a great boom.
Yeah.
Didn't have those when I started, but, you know, now that I can have, you know, 25 different cordless power tools that all work off the same battery pack, that's been a huge benefit.
Yeah, I remember for a while, volt. Oh, geez. Yeah, there's maybe a 6 volt, and then there came out with a 12 volt, and then it went up to the 18 volt.
Yeah.
And then now they got the 20 volt, and now they even got like a 36 volt and a 60 volt, I think. Even.
Yeah, DeWalt's got one that's got a 40 and a 60-volt battery.
Yeah, that's, wow.
Well, again, we're back to talking shop here, so.
Now we're talking tools.
and you know, despite the fact that that's how I've made my living, in any other way, I just don't fit the stereotype male at all. And that's, again, living here, it's like the only thing anyone up here talks about is hunting or fishing or the football team, you know, and it's like, I have no interest in any of that.
Yeah, so that's that. You gotta have a community that you kind of enjoy being out in or whatever. I'm kind of an introvert, so it doesn't matter so much to me. But
yeah, well, to me, not too much. But basically, up here, I go weeks at a time without talking to anyone I'm not related to, aside from maybe the cashier at the grocery store. You know, and it's a small community. There's less than 3,000 people, and there are 20 active churches. So if I was too public about half of what I am, it wouldn't go over very well here.
Minnesota's a little bit more forgiving in that kind of thing. It's like, oh, you're an atheist? Yeah, okay.
Well, with anything, if you get into a larger metro area rather than a small town, you know,
Yeah.
You're likely to find more open attitudes. I lived in St. Paul most of the time. I was there right near Como Park.
Okay. Yeah, St. Paul's pretty good. Minneapolis, I think, is even. There's a little bit of a difference, but not much, I guess. Just a name.
For the most part, yeah, that's, I liked Como Park being right there, and I mean, it spreads out. I don't know how far, but
Yeah, it's a big
you
park.
know, you could get into there enough to actually be in the woods, and if you went in there at night after the traffic died down, you could kind of forget you were in the city for a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of spots in both the Twin Cities area that you can kind of out in the swamps or whatever.
Yeah, well, with all the lakes, they can't build too close to the lakes, so you generally have some regions there.
Yeah, unless you're a multi-billionaire, then you can just build right on an island there.
Well, yeah, but building on the lake's more expensive if you want to make sure your house won't slide into the lake at the next heavy rain.
Oh, yeah, that makes that adds to the bill, that's for sure.
So it is kind of the same thing up here, that the only people who have money up here are the people who don't really live here.
Yeah,
it's the people who have the lake cabins who come up for the summer and go to Florida for the winter.
seasonal people.
It's like, it must be nice to have two houses. I mean,
if not three, some of them. Geez.
Yeah. It's like, I wish I could just afford one house. That would be nice. So,
yeah, two houses that's off my list.
Yeah, at this point, like I say, even one is off my list. Yeah.
Sorry,
I haven't.
I'm talking. I'm doing a little something here, so.
That's okay. It's just, financially, I seem to kind of keep winding up stuck where I am, that I spend a couple of years getting ahead and I get hit with something and I'm back at the same place again. So.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing is with construction, you're always you gotta plan it out. You gotta plan out your jobs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have to worry about it this winter. I'm going out to LA and I'm going to be building something for my brother, so I don't have nothing to worry about until next summer.
Well, like I say, it's my one goal that keeps me going is actually being able to move out of here, preferably back to Minnesota. I'm open to other areas if somebody's got something for me. If somebody needs to live in handyman somewhere.
Yeah, that'd be a great job.
I've had arrangements like that for a while too.
For somebody on Lake Minnetonka.
There was actually a house in North Minneapolis that I was living in while we were putting it back together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've done that too. It was actually like an old office building or whatever, right up on, I think it was up by Coon Rapids or whatever, but we lived in one of the rooms or whatever. It was, it's all an office building, so we just threw our stuff on the ground. But boy, it just stinks when you wake up brushing the dust off you in the morning, and it's like, all right, let's go to work.
Well, this one I was in, that the couple of guys had bought this thinking they were gonna do the thing and flip it cheap, and they really had no idea what they were doing. And it had been foreclosed on, and apparently when it had been foreclosed on, the people went nuts and took literally everything of value out of the house.
Yeah, that's been pretty common lately. I mean,
yeah. So it's like it had copper piping, so it's like all the water pipes were missing. All the electrical wiring from the basement ceiling had been cut out.
That's been a common thing when people, it's mine, so I'm going to take it. And I don't know if there's really anything they can do about that either if you got a house, except for unless it's in the deal of the contractor, I suppose, when they're selling it. But
yeah,
so what are they going to do?
Yeah, that required some major work, but basically once I got the bathroom and the kitchen functional, then it was, I could live there while I was doing the rest of it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you want to get you kind of learn your basic essentials when you're doing something like that, don't you?
Well, yeah, running water is kind of important.
It's very important.
Yeah. So what got you into all this anyway?
Like I said, a friend of mine, he was talking about perpetual motion machines and trying to, rearrange magnets and put them together and see, we can do this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, perpetual motion machines are not a thing. And then I started looking through sites or whatever, Google counter looking for people that have debunked it. And then I found Desert File, and then after Desert File, I think I found Aaron Ra, and basically everybody that you can think of. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where it came from for me. And I just said, and then I found a flat earther, and I'm like, there's people that believe that shit. I can't let this happen.
Yeah. Well,
So I said, I gotta do something about this. This is Dunning Kruger, Brandolini's law. I gotta get a big mop here for this.
yeah, when I started seeing people doing responses to flat earth videos, I was like, this has to be a joke. Nobody can honestly believe this stuff. And it just keeps growing and growing, and it's like every month I'm seeing more of this.
It's just amazing to me that someone, you can put the facts right in front of their face and they just totally go on this tangent of, well, no, well, that, and oh wow, yeah, it's amazing. It's a whack-a-mole game.
At some point, I think I may have to do just a basic globe video thing. I don't necessarily want to get into responding to anyone.
I was gonna say, you better not go down that rabbit hole.
But just explaining a couple of the basic concepts. It seems the biggest thing that the flat earthers don't understand is gravity. And all this thing about people in Australia falling off or something like that. And it's like, no, because, up and down is not the same to you as it is someone in Australia. What you've got to understand about gravity is down just always means toward the center of the planet. If you can get that concept, you should be able to figure out why the globe works.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah. It doesn't matter what you say, though. It's amazing what they come up with to counter back against you, and it's like, wow. I mean,
oh yeah. Well, like I said, I've tried discussing religion with my oldest brother. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I can point out contradictory Bible passages, and he finds some way to rationalize it.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I suppose that's the way that religion perpetuates. It's such an ingrained belief in whatever they believe in, that to go against that, it's like, wow, you're just taking away all this. I've never had that experience of, I grew up with an atheist. My mother was an atheist. Okay, so it's like, and my dad was a really skeptical person, so I didn't have any deconversion. I always kind of was skeptical anyway, and I suppose just, I don't know if I was naturally that way or if I grew up being taught to be that way. But to believe in something like that is like, well, no, it's not really there. It's just hearsay evidence. It's kind of the way I grew up. And I don't have a deconversion story, and that's, I can relate in a certain level to people that have deconverted, but not quite. And that's probably the main reason that I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I want to know what people went through and how they got out of that kind of thing.
Well, for me, I can identify a number of components that I think came together for it. One is, like I say, I grew up in a predominantly Jewish community, like 85% Jewish. So when I was learning the Bible, 4 out of 5 people I was talking about it with had read it in Hebrew and kept pointing out all the translation errors.
There is that.
So when you're seeing all the translation errors when you're 10 years old, you have to question a lot of it right there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you pay attention to S.J. Thomason or whatever. She
I
did it.
try not to.
I know I try not to too, but everybody. It seems like
Yeah.
everybody talks to her or whatever, so it comes up on the feed on Twitter. But I was like, she was talking about oh, this one guy said that there's only so many different variances that, and it was like just making up all these arbitrary numbers on it and coming up with
Yeah.
different. Well, there's only one variance really when you really take the math and divide this and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, dude.
Well, and one of the things I learned growing up that gives me a lot more respect for the Jewish people than for Christians is Christians are expected to take this all on faith. Whatever the pastor says, you're supposed to believe, and that's it. Yeah. Studying the Torah, the Jewish people actually believe that it's the responsibility of every member of the congregation to interpret it themselves and be willing to argue their interpretation against anyone else's, even if they disagree with the rabbi. That's considered like their duty.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so it's a very different perspective. You know, they're starting with the same books of the Old Testament,
yeah,
but a completely different approach to it.
That's really interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. So, you know, with where I was growing up, and also it turned out I'm autistic, which didn't get diagnosed until I was about 40. But it's like
they just started learning how to diagnose that, didn't they?
Yeah, well, that's it. It wasn't well known.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like once I had the diagnosis, and I'm going back through this with a professional therapist and my history, and it's like, oh yeah, I was displaying the early symptoms of this by the time I was 8. It's just nobody knew what it was back then.
Yeah. You got gas or something. Like, they didn't know what's going on.
Well, like in school, they just labeled me as being a classic underachiever because I seemed unable to follow the instructions, but I did really well on the test, so they figured I just wasn't trying.
Yeah, and they didn't really know how. We're getting better. We're getting better as we. I think we're learning more as we go.
Well, and that's also, why I've gotten to really like Godless Iowan, because he talks about that so much himself, so I can really identify with his stuff.
Yeah, he talks about all that. Yeah, he's really open about himself, and that's really good for people to hear that. I mean,
so, but again, just growing up with this without even knowing what it was, I was always seeing things a bit differently than everyone else. I never had an explanation for it, but I could tell that I just didn't see things even the same way my sisters and brothers did.
Yeah. So we got 2 people out there. Do you guys have any questions for Purple Rhymes with Orange? Go ahead and put them up if you got any.
Okay, I don't know who we have out there because on the Hangouts it's not showing me who's in the chat.
Yeah, you got to go and bring up the thing, but make sure you mute it before you bring it up, because it'll
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. I got the YouTube up in another window now.
Okay. Yeah, just mute the window out when you bring it up so that you don't get a.
Right, so we don't get the echoing back and forth. So.
Can you see the chat now?
Yeah.
Hey, we got 3 in the crowd now.
Hey, we're building. And at least one of them likes us.
Yeah, one's actually talking. Yeah. Linda's asking a question. How did you come up with the name of your channel? I love it. And I believe she's talking to you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we went through that right in the beginning. Was that actually it's something that my companion used to say a lot, that since nothing rhymes with purple and nothing rhymes with orange, they should rhyme with each other. And by the time I was creating this, like, a year or so ago, it was really hard to find any name that hadn't already been taken that made any kind of sense.
Boy, you got that right.
And I've actually had to fight to keep this one. Actually, YouTube has deleted my channel twice before I ever made my first video.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you weren't
never any explanation. I just get the bot letter. And
wow.
So my best guess is that in the comment section of somebody else's videos, I had pissed off a Muslim guy. So I think he just kept reporting me all the time.
Yeah, that can happen. Yeah.
So that's my best guess for it. I really don't have anything else.
Yeah, young Earth creationists too can get a little bit touchy if you push them too far.
Yeah. Well, like I say, my brother's fairly far on that. He's not quite to the young Earth level, I guess, but
old Earth creationist then?
Yeah, he just that, the Bible is going to solve all your problems, and no matter what happens, this is all part of God's plan. And it's like, well, if this is part of God's plan, one, he should let me in on what the hell the plan is. And two, this plan sucks.
That's all I ask. just tell me why, Quit sending these fallible messengers that can't freaking get the story straight or say it right,
Yeah. Well, it's kind of why I couldn't believe in Santa Claus for very long either. Because supposedly he's keeping a list of who's good and bad. And, we were a large family. My dad was a carpenter, so, not a lot of money. And most of the people around us had a lot more money than we did. So I was seeing that the kids who were utter assholes were getting a hell of a lot more from Santa than we were. So the idea that it was based on how we behaved obviously wasn't the deciding factor here.
No, it's how fat Daddy's wallet is.
Yeah. So that's another part of mine, is I'm rather anti-Santa, which people have a real hard time about that, because it's like, how can you spoil this for the kids and that? And it's like, no, you can't be pushing the kids on something that just obviously even the kids can see isn't really based in reality, or else you're going to give some of the kids a complex that, why didn't they get the new entertainment center? Or, why didn't they get the new gaming console? Just, they had been behaving as best as they possibly could, and they still get crap next to the bully who's been beating them up.
They still get coal in their stocking.
Yeah.
Well, hey, the JWs are, or the Jehovah's Witnesses, I should say, are anti-Santa. So
yeah,
I think so. Anyway, yeah.
Well, they're anti-Christmas.
Anti-Christmas, yeah. That's
yeah. Not Your Witness just did a video about that.
Yeah, he had growing
up, he never had a Christmas.
He had 1,000 subs too, and then he lost 9 subs and went back up. I think he's at 1,000 now.
Okay, is he past his 1,000?
Yeah,
I know
he got his Christmas gift, his first Christmas gift.
Yeah, I know everybody was working on that for him, but it's like, I don't have a big enough following to be much help. I posted his page on Facebook several times, and that was about all I could do for him.
I gave him a shout out in my that video that I did too.
Sorry, I'm getting tangled in my cord here.
We got to go wireless then.
What's it?
You got to go wireless then.
Yeah, well, one, I don't always trust them to work right, and two, that's more money than I've got.
Oh, Apostle Babe Linda James, she was a Jehovah's Witness. She's an ex-Jehovah's Witness.
There seem to be a lot of them popping up around here lately.
I have, yeah. There's a lot of. I think Nacha had a little bit to do with that, to be honest with you.
Well, Nacha and Telltale.
Telltale, yeah, Oh wow, he's huge, yeah.
Yeah. Telltale was another one of the early ones I ran across, and I found that really interesting, because it's like, in St. Paul, we lived like a half a mile from a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall.
Uh-huh.
So they were a constant annoyance, but I really didn't know anything about what they believed.
Yeah, in the town that I'm at here, it's probably, I don't know, just a small building, kind of. It's not really a huge church or anything, but drive by it and it's like sitting there.
Yeah. Well, it was just every weekend, you know, they'd be knocking on the doors. But that's while I was a practicing pagan. And 1 year for Yule, I put a 5-foot pentacle on the side of the house, and we didn't hear from them after that. So apparently that symbol really does ward off evil.
The Jehovah's Witnesses don't like help you do work or anything if they see you working. That's like the Mormons that'll do that, right?
No. Actually, the only ones that I've known for that are, you know, like some of the Amish and Mennonites are, you know, they're more likely to be helpful to neighbors.
Linda said that's how she found us all from Natcha. So, yeah, because I remember I found him. I probably was his 12th subscriber or something like that on Nachos. I saw him and he was like doing those little stories or whatever in his book or whatever, and it was like everybody just jumped on it and promoted him right away. And it's like, yep. I think I did a live stream with him right away, and we did a little debunked video, and it was pretty much fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I probably found Nacha through Godless Iowan, but yeah, at the time I found him, he had, you know, only like 50 or 60 subscribers.
Yeah, I think I was his 12th subscriber.
Yeah.
I've found a lot of people like that, and well, what are you, 26? So you're gonna jump up there too.
I've tended to gravitate toward the smaller channels just because
same here.
I feel then I get some interaction when I comment on things.
Yeah, I always said the only reason that I don't want to be big is because then talking to the rest of your, you know, the rest of your subs or whatever, I kind of like that smaller community kind of thing. Rather than like, wow, you know, I didn't get your comment because I had to go through 300 of them.
Yeah, it's even like Vice Rhino or Apologia. You know, it's like I'm watching the video like 2 hours after they put it up, and there's already 1,000 comments there. So, yeah, you know, I'm not really going to expect them to read through all that and see mine at that point.
I was Apologia's 60th sub or something like that. I was Gallus Cranium's 7th sub. 70th sub.
Really? Then you've been around quite a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been doing it for a while.
Okay.
I had Gallus Cranium and Apologia on my very first live stream that I did as an interview.
I didn't realize you'd been doing them for that long.
Yeah, like a year and a half I've been doing my videos now. I don't promote myself like Gallus Island. He's good at doing that. I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, and that's me too. I don't expect I'll get very big because I'm lousy at self-promotion.
That's what it's all about right there too. If you want to go up in your sub count, you gotta be on top of it all day long.
Yeah, and I don't get social media. I'm on Twitter. I really can't figure out Twitter because to me it looks like a lot of random comments, and I can't even tell what responses to what post or how these things thread together.
It took me a long time to figure Twitter out. I
yeah,
have no idea on it. I kind of do, but I can't say that I'm a master of it.
Actually, I didn't even want to get on Twitter, but you know, I saw that it kind of seemed to be the only way that I found out when people were doing things.
Yeah, that became a big thing with the community. Is everybody jumped onto Twitter? I did it like a year ago, and all of a sudden, it was just a good way to promote my channel a little bit. Then I noticed all the other YouTubers that started. I think they followed me, to be honest with you, and started promoting their stuff on Twitter too, and people started joining Twitter. So, yeah, Twitter got a huge atheist community fill up from back when I started till now.
Yeah, well, I've actually only been on Twitter like 2 months at most, and it's like it's not just Twitter. I really was trying my hardest to never have a smartphone. Didn't want one.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of BS I don't need. It's got all these applications on there, and it's like there's like I just want to make phone calls and send text messages. There's maybe 3 other things I use.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You can
Yeah.
get better at it, I guess. But
Well,
Linda said, "Yep, the Mormons are the ones known to offer help." And I gotta tell you that story because I was like just doing all this construction work in the back of my brother's house out in LA. These 2 girls came up and started offering to help me, and I'm like, I thought about it. I was like, I had a lot of stuff to lift. They would have been sore by the time I got done. But I decided not to.
yeah, you don't often get people really willing to help.
No.
I'm also very bad at reading people. It goes with the autism. You know, I don't read body language or facial expressions.
Yeah, that's part of it, isn't it? Where it's hard to
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to tell when people are when they, you know, say if you need anything, ask, if they're actually offering to help or
Okay.
if they're just trying to be polite.
So you gotta take an extra step to make sure that you understand something or whatever. It's kind of what you got to deal with there, huh?
Well, just people need to be very, very specific and blunt with me.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess I can't read people either, so who
Yeah.
knows?
It's actually one of my concerns about having my own channel is I'm, you know, probably not going to be as quick to pick up on the trolls.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, I could see that being a little bit of an issue, but I don't know. I don't know. Trolls don't bother me one freaking bit. It's like whatever. You can call me anything you want, just don't call me late for supper.
Yeah. Well, I have to admit, at times in some of the comment sections, I've had fun with the trolls.
Yeah.
So I've probably kept some of those strings going longer than they should have, but
It's hard not to feed the trolls sometimes.
well, like I say, sometimes it's just entertaining.
What time do we got?
Yeah, actually, we've been here almost an hour now.
Yeah.
Just another 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. I went a lot quicker than
Yeah, I'm surprised.
it was a quick hour. But I suppose I should probably do a couple things yet tonight yet. No, thank you for coming on here. This is awesome, Mom.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. I mean, this was, you know,
anytime, man. I haven't done a show for so long, probably like 2 or 3 weeks maybe. But I thought, hey, I love this video. Let's get him on here and
yeah.
get him a little bit of traffic if we can.
Well, you know, I was just thrilled that somebody thought something I made was worth talking about. So, you know, this was exciting to me.
You got to go and check his video out. And with that, you know what? I'm going to thank you, and I'm going to thank you, all 3 of you that came here tonight to check this out. And I don't know what my next show is going to be, but I think I'm going to do more of them. I think. I don't know. It all depends upon how I feel at the moment. I've gotten so busy on a couple things, but now it's slowing down, and I'm hoping to do more anyway.
As long as you throw something out there once in a while, one of your music videos or something, just so that we all know you're still doing okay.
Yeah, there we go.
It really is unnerving when somebody just disappears from the community and nobody knows what happened to them.
Yeah, I know. I'm always trying to at least do comments or whatever, even though I haven't been making many videos lately, but I'll be making more. That music video took a lot of time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and have a heathen good night.
Okay. Good night, everybody.